One Sabbath, when Jesus went to dine at the house of a ruler who belonged to the Pharisees, they were watching him. Now he told a parable to those who were invited, when he marked how they chose the places of honor, saying to them, "When you are invited by anyone to a marriage feast, do not sit down in a place of honor, lest a more eminent man than you be invited by him, and he who invited you both will come and say to you, 'Give place to this man,' and then you will begin with shame to take the lowest place. But when you are invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, 'Friend, go up higher.' Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at table with you. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." He said also to the man who had invited him, "When you give a dinner or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your kinsmen or rich neighbors, lest they also invite you in return and you be repaid. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. You will be repaid at the resurrection of the just."
As you are doubtless aware, St Bride's is famous worldwide as the journalists' church, so we are often asked to hold memorial services for high-profile figures in the media world. Inevitably, these events draw in large congregations, often including some very famous and well-known faces. And on more than one occasion, we have had to deal with a rather awkward situation when some great celebrity or other has swept in, spotted a seat marked reserved, and taken it for granted that it must have been reserved for them personally, because they are so accustomed to receiving special treatment wherever they go that they assume automatically that a place will have been reserved for them, except that it hasn't been. So our vergers have had the task of politely but firmly removing said high-profile media figure from the prime seat that they have annexed for themselves and redirecting them to sit alongside everyone else in the 1 and 9 seats. And however discreetly this is done, not only does it leave said celebrity looking pretty foolish, it also exposes for all to see their inherent arrogance and sense of entitlement, as well as their misplaced conviction of their own importance. Today's gospel reading is all about the perils of doing precisely that, and it links it to the sin of pride. Pride is pernicious because it both generates and is fueled by a misleading sense of how important we are, or need to feel that we are. Hence, Jesus gives such a clear warning about the perils of seating yourself in the place of honour at a wedding banquet. Pride comes before a fall, as the proverb goes, and it is indeed the case that if you have an over-elevated sense of your own significance, or want to create an impression of that significance, then the likelihood is that sooner or later the truth will out and you will come a cropper. We commit the sin of pride when we put ourselves at the centre of the universe, when the single most important question we ask ourselves is, what will other people think? What will people think of me if I'm seen doing this or not seen doing that? What will people think if I have a house that is smaller than theirs, or a job that is less well paid, or a car that is inferior? Or, even more insidiously, what will people think when they find out that I got that thing wrong, or discover that that problem was my fault, or that I have failed in some way? How then will I be able to command and retain their respect? We are guilty of the sin of pride whenever those kinds of questions or concerns are uppermost in our thoughts, because they will swiftly begin to influence our behaviour and the way in which we handle our relationships. And when those kinds of forces are at work in our lives, they are invariably destructive, invariably. Because whenever the primary focus of our attention is ourselves, then our view of other people, the situations we find ourselves in, and indeed our sense of who we are, begins to get distorted and warped, and can slowly eat away at everything that is good in our lives. I'm sure you will all have met the kind of person who so cannot bear to be seen in the wrong or to lose face that they will go to any length to avoid it, by trying to lay the blame on someone else, or by giving a completely distorted version of events, or concealing the truth in some way, without recognising that paradoxically that kind of conduct only serves to lose them respect, or just makes them look rather sad. Many years ago, I served at a church where one of the most high-profile and committed congregation members, a wealthy businessman who spearheaded lots of church initiatives and chaired various committees, lost all his money and became bankrupt. But instead of allowing his church family to rally round and support him and his family with their friendship and their love, as one might have expected and hoped, he did the opposite. He immediately severed all links with the church and its congregation and relocated to the other side of town. He so couldn't bear to lose face. But what was actually most painful of all was the sudden realisation by all of us that he had assumed that we were the kinds of people who would feel the less of him because of what he had suffered, which, as one parishioner pointed out, was actually quite insulting as well as being completely misplaced. Conversely, when I think about two of the most impressive individuals I have ever worked for, they both had a wonderful honesty and transparency about them. If they got something wrong, they were the first to point it out. And when that happened, far from going down in my estimation, the opposite was the case. They had that wonderful kind of unself-consciousness or self-forgetfulness, which meant that they lived untrammelled by any concerns about what other people might be thinking about them, which in turn freed them to live lovingly and compassionately, with a remarkable ability to see both people and situations as they truly were. And that kind of humility, true humility, is the mark of someone who, deep down, knows that they are loved and accepted for being who and what they are, who feels no need to impress anyone or beat anyone or rubbish anyone, and because of that, he or she is simply free to be. But it is they who are the people of true freedom. They are free to enjoy God's gifts, free to know that they are loved and accepted, and free to love and accept those around them. Which is why in the parable of the wedding feast that Jesus told, it is to one of their number that the Lord comes quietly and says, "Friend, move up higher." And thanks be to God for that.